Hey guys, this is Sparkle Ultra here, and this is part 4 on What If Deku had Kevin Levin powers. You think you got it bad? And I hope you like this video and hope you subscribe. Suga was in the hospital and was on the bed getting his injuries fixed up. And Suki says, Ow! Ow, 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 ow! Frickin' hell! Man, I wasn't expecting that thing to hit like a frickin' moose. And when he was on the bed, he was thinking to himself, damn it, why do I have that weird feeling every time? Says it greed of mine, but something else. And he hears a unfamiliar person say, "Hi, you have a rough shape as I am." And he then looks and sees a man that was on the bed looking like a husk. And Suki says, "Holy hell, never mind me. What the hell happened to you?" And the man says, "Well, I got a little injury." And Suki's seeing bandages and that one mark. Holy shit, never mind. Holy hell, how did you get that on you? And the man says, it was in a battle or in a certain incident. And Suki says, "Incident? Holy shit. Looking at that, you're lucky that your whole body did not get internal blisters to it." And then the man says, "How's your injuries?" And Suki says, a flesh wound, let's just say. I just have luck on my side. I had armor with me." And the man then says, "Oh, so what's your quirk? How does it work?" And Suki says this, "My quirk allows me to absorb anything. Wood, any type of quirk, you name it. But I need a large amount, or small amount depending on how much you want me to absorb. But it will hurt like hell." And the man says this, "That must be very unfortunate for you." And Suki says, "Yeah, it was hell, but I dealt with way worse things. But I never felt a punch like that from that thing." "Oh, what thing was that?" And Suki said, "It was from that Nomu. For Christ's sakes, what the hell was with that kid? I know I have that strength to match a Nomu, but I only need to absorb. But my quirk did not have any effect to it. Some reason, that thing is not human. Well, ish. The brain from that was most likely from person, but looking at it much more, it reminds me of Frankenstein." And the man says, "Oh, like Frankenstein's monster?" "Exactly!" Suki says. And when he says that, the detective comes out and says, so that's what we're dealing with. A Frankenstein-like monster that is like quirk embodiment." And Suki says, "Huh? Wait, I know you! You're the detective that answered me." And the detective says this, "It's good to see you. Hoping you didn't get in any trouble." And Suki says this, "Trust me, if I was in trouble, you would have kicked my ass in with those cleat boots of your SWAT team." And the detective says, "No, but we would handcuff you." And Suki says, "Why are you here?" And the detective says, "Oh, looks like Toshi trusts you enough that he will give the secret out a bit." And Suki says, "Toshi?" And looking at the man, what's so special about this rag man? And the detective says this, "Oh, Toshi, am I explaining?" And the Toshi says this, "Well, I was gonna surprise him, but then turning into his buff form." And Suki then sees, "All Might?" Then All Might says, "Yes, then spitting out blood and becoming his skinny form. And Suki then says, "Am I beaten up that badly to see a skinny All Might? And the detective says, no, your wounds are healed. Luckily, they weren't nowhere to make you unconscious. And Zuki says, are you sure? Want me keep that secret? I'm not a guy that would be trustworthy. And All Might says this. You may be untrustworthy to those that you were dealing with, but I trust you enough to know that you're willing to help others for a reason. And Zuki says, man, couldn't even expect that, but man, you are one deceiver. I deceived people, but you deceived me. And All Might says, oh, I didn't mean to deceive you, but I do want to help others. But is there anything about the USJ trader? And Zuki says this, still on my guard, but I do have one person that is similar to what I gave him when I was giving out a equipment. And the detective says, are your equipment cheap? And Zuki says, cheap? Hell no, they're legit. Even I am a good person to have bargain with. My things are legit. Whenever I touch something, I replicate their DNA to the microscopic level, making it near identical, or really identical, if I wanted to make fool's gold. And the detective says, I will keep in mind that. But there is one, the naval laser guy, Aoyama, I think his name is. And the detective says, oh, what do you mean by that? And Zuki explains that his quirk does not suit him. Sure, his quirk was giving him a problem, most quirk users do, but there was more to it. It seemed like he's not fully used to it, to Zuki's perspective, and he's worried about something. Even I, a traitorous guy, can tell what the person could think of. I'm not dumb. And the detective says this. That is great information. Thanks, Zuki. And Zuki then looks at All Might. Man, remind me to eat some healing wounds for you. Any herbs could help numb the pain. And All Might says, thank you for that, young Midori. But relax, I will be fine for now. And Zuki says, why? Why does everybody have something? I don't even know why. I'm angry. Why am I jealous? Why? But when Zuki was fully healed, he goes back to UA and was thinking to himself in the desk. Zuki was thinking to himself on what he was jealous of, All Might or anybody. Then clicked to him when he was thinking about in his desk, friend. And Zuki then says, not just friend, family, or somebody that cares for you. I don't even know my mom. I've never seen her. And father is some kind of deadbeat, left even if I was born. All I remembered about my mom is she was kind. And Zuki then cracks his desk a bit. And Zuki then gets up and goes out of the UA room until he was blockaded by a bunch of students that he does not know. And Zuki says, huh? Who the hell are you? And the students were angry at all of Class 1A, including Izuku, about the USJ incident. And then he sees a purple-haired kid that was standing in Zuki's way. And Zuki says, are you going to move aside, or am I gonna beat all of you to a living pulp? And the purple-haired kid says, you know, you are cocky as people say you are. And Zuki says, huh? What was that? Trust me, if I was cocky, it would be in a very painful way. And the kid says, well, we'll see about that. And then when the kid was about to stop Deku from running his mouth, Deku touched him. And then the kid says, what the am I talking? Quark, it won't. And Deku says this, so, are we done here? And Deku, let's go. And the purple-haired kid says, well, you know, our quirks are exactly like villains. And Deku then looks at him. Hey kid, what's your name? And the purple-haired kid says, name's Shinzo. And Deku smirks. Nice. Well, we'll see who'll win in this tournament, pal. And Shinzo says, you too. And walking off, smirking. And Bakugo then explains that all of Class 1A should beat them and show them that they are the strongest. And Deku agrees on this point. Bakugo's saying, because he might not like him, but he does actually agree on his statement on what he said. And when Deku was walking in the hall, he come across with Ochako and Ida. Ochako explains to Deku that she wants to get the money to help her mother and dad. And Deku says, why couldn't you use your quirk to work on money? And Ochako says, I thought the same thing, but parents say it's wrong to do it. And Deku then gets into a bad mood. So, I disobeyed a lot, and I made money. And Ochako says, huh? What are you talking about? And Deku says, never mind. And going past Ochako, you're lucky that you have a family. And Ochako then cries on Deku said, and Ida says, what did he say? And Ochako then says, I am lucky for having a family. And Deku then goes into the mechanic room to work on his car. Nothing like easing my rage on working on some mechanic gears. And when he says that, a person, Hatsume, appears and says, hey, Deku! And Deku then hits his head as a surprise and feeling his head on the hitting his head on the car. Ow! And Hatsume said, oh, did that hurt? And Deku says, no shit! Why are you surprising me? And Hatsume says, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I just want your answer on what should I get to show off my gadgets in the tournament. And Deku says, I don't care. And wait, and Deku then realized, wait a minute, what do you mean by gadgets? And Hatsume says, oh, I'm just getting showing the investors on what my gadget can do. And Deku says, investors? And all surprised and imagining money in the air. Let me in this. And Hatsume says, huh? I don't think the tournament allows your car. And Deku says, I know that. Tell me what the investors would do if they have this equipment. And Hatsume says, oh, okay. And Hatsume explains to Deku about if the investors were interested in her gadgets or any of the gadgets, then they'll be invested and she can get credit on that and help others. And Deku then says, so much money. And Natsume says, but I'm not doing it for the money. Well, half of that, but I'm also helping heroes worldwide. And Deku says, hey Hatsume, can I help you out on these inventions? And Hatsume says, sure. And Deku made some improvements to Hatsume's gadgets. helping her on making them better in his imagination to hold off his car, modeling on. And Suki says, I'm gonna get rich out of this. And Hatsume says, I think I made it too interested in this. And Suki says, thanks for helping me getting into a good mood, Hatsume. And Hatsume says, huh? I thought you were always in a bad mood. And Zuku then says, with a annoyed perfume laugh. Zuki then grabs her head and says, what do you mean by that, Hatsume? And Hatsume says, huh? I thought you were always being so mean-spirited to others for fun. And Zuki says, well, not wrong in that. I'm more snarky type of guy. And Hatsume says, oh, that's interesting. And then Hatsume looks at Zuki's pocket. What's in the pocket? And Zuki says, oh. And Zuki grabs it out and says, just a little thing to help me use my powers. And Hatsume then looks, huh? A lighter? And what the? Titanium? Some types of tungsten? What is this for? And Zuki says, you also realize that I can bring anything that allows me to use my powers, right? And Hatsume said, you're going to use them to help win. And Zuki says, bingo! And Hatsume says, I give you a 10-point star. And Zuki says, thanks, Hatsume. You made my day a bit better. And Hatsume sees Zuki's smile. And Hatsume smiles back and says, if anything, I would be glad to help you anytime with your car. And Suki says, usually I would say no, but hey, you gave me some time to get money off of it, so, or creating something. So I'll let you have it this time on making. And Hatsume says, yay! And Suki goes and signs the equipment what he needs in the UA tournament. And Suki then rests up and says, Hatsume, she might be a good friend. And Hatsume says, this is gonna be awesome. Looking at her equipment, and Hatsume sees Suki's car under the tarp. And Hatsume looks at Suki's car and see the design and was amazed on how detailed it was and fixed all the problems that he made. And Hatsume then realized, he may be a better mechanic at this. Then when Hatsume gets into Ziku's car, she sees different types of buttons, and Hatsume then looks at the buttons. Seems like he's making some modifications to help him get around places and fight crime. And presses one button, and it shoots out a blaster. And then Hatsume then hears it and sees an explosion. Oops, I think I should get out of the car. When she was getting out of the car, she then hears a crash of glass, sees a tire on the front windshield, and Hatsume says, uh-oh, I think I need to repair it. Then again, it won't be easy. Then Hatsume looks around to find some front window of Zuki's car, and then spots a equipment of Zuki's package, and Hatsume says, what does Zuki have in there? Giving it in the package. I don't know. And Hatsume then opens it and sees, oh wow, a armored wind-resistant
glass for his car? That is amazing! And Natsume then looks at the car of Deku and the front windshield and says, okay. And Natsume then repairs the car by changing the windshield to the new version at night. And Natsume doesn't seem tired, but she hasn't gotten sleep, that's for sure. And when Zuki gets out of UA room, Zuki then sees a mess, and Natsume says, "Good morning, Zuki!" And Zuki says, "Morning, Natsume." And Zuki then spots his packet. Wait, you got in my packet? And Natsume says, "Oh, I was, Zuki says, "At least you didn't damage." I highly doubt you did. Well, that's not that. And Zuki then heard that one phrase. What do you mean by it, Natsume? And with a little hint of anger, Natsume says, "Well, I'm tired. Pressed the button up in your car. You hit your tire and it flung to the windshield. And I replaced it with the new package." And Zuki then says, "Oh, okay." And Natsume says, "Huh? You're not angry?" And Zuki says, "Why would I be angry? That windshield was damaged, even in past." And Natsume says, "Whew." And Zuki says, "Huh, your eyes are dreary." And Natsume says, "I stayed up all night." And Zuki says, "Jesus, you need any sleep?" And Natsume says, "I drink a lot of coffee." And Zuki says, "That's not good. Okay, go sleep somewhere." And Zuki was looking around, and then when Natsume says, "I'm fine, Zuki. I didn't even need." And Natsume then falling down on her legs, and Zuki says, "You don't look like it." And then Zuki then goes down and tries to keep her up a bit longer, but her body was shutting down on how much caffeine she drank. And Zuki then puts his legs on Natsume's head, and Zuki says, "Great, we're doing this all over again." And Natsume was sleeping on Zuku's leg for time that she wakes up. Zuki says, "Well, at least it ain't the other day for the tournament." And Zuki then looks at Natsume sleeping, and Zuki says, "She can be a real handful." And Zuki then Princess carried her to her room, and Zuki says, "Next time I'll take care of your health, for Christ's sakes." And Zuki then leaves her room, and then when Natsume was sleeping, she wakes up and says, "All right." And Natsume then looks around and sees she's in her room, and then there was a note on her bed, and Natsume then reads, "Dear Natsume, just take a rest for this day. You need it more than anybody else." And seeing from Deku, and Natsume then says, "Thanks, Deku," and resting up the day and going to the tournament. When they got into the room, Deku was relaxing and not taking it lightly on winning this thing. And all the students were, well, being their usual self, but then Shoto says to Zuki, "Zuki, I'm not gonna use my fire side." And Zuki then says, "Huh? What was that?" And Zuki, taking offended on what he's hearing, Shoto says, "I won't use my full power." And Zuki, scratching his head, "You saying I'm weak?" And Shoto says, "No, it's nothing personal." And Zuki then says this, "You know, I was having a bad mood, but now you made it super personal, pal." And looking at Shoto's face, taking a stare down, "I was in a good mood for a bit, but now we'll see if I make you use it." And Suki then walks off, and Shoto says, sorry if I offended you. And then they go into the running start. And obviously, Shoto would take the first start by freezing on the first people who were going to get him first. But most of the people were on, or Class 1A was already expect him to do that. And Zuku then absorbed Shoto's ice on the ground and says, really, ice? This cliche is getting old. And Zuku runs on the ice, sliding while becoming his ice armor form. And then a zero-pointer robot comes out, and Zuku then creates a ice pike arm and stabbing it and climbing it by mere seconds. But when he tries climbing, he sees a big iceberg of glacier hitting the zero-pointer and pushing him into it. Gah! And Shoto then says, sorry, slides down. And Zuku then says, he throws me into this? And when all the students see the zero-pointer, Bakugo was going over it and saying, damn it, Icy Hot! You're gonna pay for that! And when he says that, Bakugo sees a lit light in the ice, and Zuku absorbed his fire and says, you're not gonna win this, you damn icy bastard! And firing a heat of fire up in the sky, destroying the ice and zero-pointer's head, and Zuku flies out of there, and Bakugo says, hey, how did you absorb fire? Zuku says, with this, pal, and with a lighter, and Bakugo says, you're kidding me! And Zuki says, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we take down this ice bastard? And Bakugo smirks and says, as much as I hate you, he is the one that started it. And Zuki says, good, let's get him! And Zuki and Bakugo were chasing after Shoto, with Zuki using his fire to propel himself like a jet, and Bakugo using his explosions to keep up with them. Flying over the third obstacle, and Shoto was going to use his ice, but see both Zuki and Bakugo catching up his ass, and Zuki saying, where are you going, pal? And Bakugo says, get over here, you icy bastard! And then Shoto uses his ice to walk on it. Oh no, you're not! And Zuki then uses his fire to heat up the ice, and Shoto says, he's much versatile with fire than I expected. And Zuki then propels himself. I'm gonna beat the living crap out of you! And Bakugo says, no way, I'm going to! Let's just do it! And when Zuki says that, his fire was gone. I used up too much! And hitting the ground. But when he hits the ground, he triggers a landmine. And Zuki says, absorb! And Zuki was absorbing the explosion from that landmine. And says, luckily I got the energy to absorb kinetic. Bakugo and Ida were fighting it out in first place. And Zuki thinks, I can't get over there that quickly. And Zuki then at the landmine and thinks, and Zuki was absorbing different types of landmines and different routes and having enough to explode his hand and his whole body to propel himself. And Zuki then says, alright. And Zuki then covered himself with titanium armor. Here I go. And propelling himself with a huge explosion, getting ahead of both Bakugo and Shoto with that one blast. And both Shoto and Bakugo were surprised to see Zuki use some landmines explosives to propel himself as faster than them. And second blast. Zuko getting flinged through and then makes it to the finish line and says, yeah! And Zuko then realized, I don't know how to break it! But when he says that, he trips on the land and then hits his head. Boom! Well, luckily I got titanium armor. And then all the students got into their similar placings in their usual. And Zuko was saying, ha ha ha! Yeah! Winner, winner, chicken dinner! Then Natsume said, haha! Looks like you got first pass. And Suki says, thanks! No congratulations needed. And Natsume says, but all things good. Do you know what would happen if you get first? And Zuka then cracks a mirror of reality. Right, I forgot. Then looking at Midnight, and Midnight says, Zuko Midoriya, you takes 10 million points. And Zuko then looks down on his and says, screw me! But when he says that, Shoto and him have a talk, and Shoto explains why he's not using his fire. And Zuko said this with his arm tapping on his finger tapping on his arm. You think you have it worst, pal? I am so ticked off with this shit. Not because of your family thing. I care less about that shit. It's your fire, not his, dumbass. You think it is, but it ain't. It's your personality, your rules, not his. You can use your fire and not use it. I don't give a damn. But family? You think you have complications? I don't have one! And Shoto was surprised. And Zuki says this. If you're not gonna use full power, then I'll beat it out of you. Don't have pity for me. You have it bad because I have it worse, you asshole! And Zuki walking away from him and getting into the second tournament. And Shoto then says, looks like we got something similar after all. And Shoto looks at Zuko. We both want to change through our own well-being. And we also want to take care of our family. And Zuko bites his lip, bleeding it. Stupid bastard. And that's where I'm ending this video. I hope you liked this video and hope you subscribe. See you next time. Plus Ultra.